Hello guys, my name is Sarah. I am the makeup instructor for section 2 of 267. So if you're in Janine's class, hello. That is who I am. And then to my students, hello too. I hope everyone is doing okay in this crazy time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about design renderings and design sheets and the difference between the two. So you guys haven't really dived into those too much yet. I'm sure you've seen some like up around the room in the makeup studio. You've probably seen a few of them. And I'm basically just going to go over the difference between the two. You're going to use those for your stylized 1 and stylized 2 unit, and as well as the final, since we will not be doing a final makeup look for this class due to the circumstances, and now that we're online, you guys are welcome to do some makeup and submit it as extra credit, however. So yeah, let's just get right into it. A design rendering. So I'm going to talk about the rendering versus design sheets. A design rendering is very similar to like a piece of art or artwork. Okay, so it's like your final design, fully done, all elements added, everything shown on that, and you want it to look very professional and very nice. Design renderings are typically for design teams. You will show like sketches and stuff throughout the process, but usually you will show a design rendering to them, because a design team and like your director, they don't particularly care how you're going to do it. They don't care how you're going to apply an eyeshadow, right? They don't care. It's like if one of the steps is like blending, or you have to show like how to do something specific, they're not concerned with how to do that. They're concerned with what it looks like, which is what the rendering is for. It's to show what it looks like. And the reason I say it's kind of like a piece of art is because they are typically things that you see in like a playbill or a magazine or a book, things that are shown about a design after the fact. After a show is opened, this is typically what is shown. They're also called designs. Okay, so if you see like a costume design in a playbill, that's very similar. So I will show you a few examples of them. We have a few good ones. So here is one of mine, okay? So it's just full face makeup, hair, eyes, lips, everything is incorporated. I personally like to write show name and character name on my designs as well. You guys are welcome to do that. I think we want you to have at least your character name and show name written somewhere on it, but I kind of have it like a little bit more stylistic on there. And you guys don't have to have it set up like that either. That is just how I do it, so you guys are welcome to kind of do whatever. But you see how what I mean, that it is kind of a work of art. It's more something pretty to look at and a full look. So if a director were to look at this, he could understand very quickly, or she could understand very quickly what you're trying to go for, right? And you guys can do these on stock sheets, which are like this, right? So it's just like a stock face, or you can draw on the actor's face themselves, which is what I did. Okay, so I have the actor's face, and I just drew on top of it. So this way a director knows exactly what it is you're trying to do, because sometimes if you do it on a stock sheet, then it makes it kind of hard for them to interpret it, because they're not used to makeup. They kind of see what you're trying to go for and they're like, okay, that looks good, but then you put it on the actor and they're like, oh, we don't like how that looks, right? So I typically like to always do it on the actor's face themselves. You guys don't have to do that for this assignment, but it is very helpful too if you guys would like to make one. Otherwise, we have stock sheets all up on Learning Suite that you guys can look at. Let me find one. That's an example of what we have. So we have two different ones. We have ones like this. Okay. It's like front side view. We have ones like this with like one eye closed, one eye open. You can use, there's a lot of different ones. Okay. But I would try to use one that has space for hair, specifically, so everything you're incorporating into your design. Also, like I did this one, but typically I like to do a front and a second page that's a side view as well, so that a director or design team can see the full thing that you're working towards. And an actor and a makeup crew can do that as well. So this is an example of one as well. This one's very well done. So it is just kind of a front view, like I did, of a design, right? And then they have the side view as well. You can have them both on the same page. That's okay. I personally just like the full portrait just because it gives me a little bit more room to work and get those like fine details on the eyes and stuff, but this is perfectly fine as well. We just want to make sure you're getting all of the details so we can see the hair and everything going into that rendering. Yeah, so that is it for renderings. Those two were examples. Here's another one. This is kind of one as well. Okay. And if you guys are wanting to do it on your own face, that is totally acceptable and might be a little easier for you to kind of tailor it to your face as well. You can just print out a standard paper size photograph of yourself. Make sure it's straight face, you don't have makeup on or anything, and that your hair is pulled back or just out of your face at least so that you can do it. Get some tracing paper, lay it over, trace over the design, and then once you have it on the tracing paper, make sure that you outline it. So this design, I can't tell, this one hasn't been outlined, but make sure you outline it in pen and then put it on top of a blank sheet of paper and then run this through a printer. You've got to have the white behind it, otherwise the printer's not going to be able to pick it up and it's just going to look kind of like a gray mess with kind of your outline. So make sure you've got a white piece of paper behind it. And then you can scan that off and then you got your design sheet ready to go. Or not your design sheet, your design template, excuse me. So now let's talk about your design sheets. Design sheets are also called design maps or charts as well. And they are kind of the blueprints to your design, okay? So this is where it's going to come into play for designers, for your makeup crew, your actors, okay? These are the breakdowns that are going to show them what they need to do. So it's not a pretty picture type of deal that you're showing to a director saying this is exactly everything that's incorporated, everything that's going on, this is it. Okay, so this is a breakdown. So you guys can have multiple sheets. So ones you've probably seen up in the room or something similar to like this or like this, where you have your design kind of drawn out and then some instructions on the side. That's great. Let me show you one for this design in particular. Okay, so they had some great notes and everything going on. They have it like this, which this is a really good breakdown. I would say they need to be a little bit more detailed than this, but you can see they've kind of got it broken down on here. They've even got like light pencil circles of where they're saying like highlights and shadows and everything should go, which is a really great habit to get into. But be very, very careful doing that because as you can see, like with some of these that they've kind of circled in pencil, they become uneven. So one person, or excuse me, after they draw it out, they'll just submit it and then they don't even realize that one contour is up here and one contour is down here, right? You got to be very careful and like watch what you're drawing and make sure it's coming out, that your highlights and shadows are symmetrical. And if you're having trouble with it, just like, I get after you've looked at something for a really long time, sometimes it's hard to see. Just hand it to a friend or a family member, somebody that can just look at it and just say, hey, can you tell me, does all of this look symmetrical to you? Does anything look off? And then that way you can kind of get someone else's feedback on it. It's also really important that you have those in the same place as well as the same length and everything, because if an actor gets this, this is their only instruction sheet. So if they look at it and they're like, oh, okay, so they want the shadow contour to come clear down here on this side, but on this side they only want it kind of there, so that's what I'll do. And then it's not going to look right. So these need to be very, very meticulous, okay, in all of the ways you draw it. So this person did another really great thing where they have this kind of outlining a lot of the highlights and shadow work going on as well as the colors, but then they do this as well, okay? So they've taken the eye and kind of zoomed it out. They didn't like do anything like super intense. They just did kind of like a line for the eyelid and then like kind of where the brow is. So it doesn't take a ton of artistic skill, right? But they've done that and then just kind of like outlined exactly where the eyeliner and the eyeshadow and everything go, okay? Also doing little notes like this out of the design itself, if you have very specific notes, is a great thing to do. Also for this design, they have over here numbered 1 through 15 of instructions. That is really, really great to do. So you can do instructions, you can do it on a page with stuff if you kind of want to number like with these little arrows that you have coming out of the design. If you want to do like 1, 2, 3, 4, that's great. You can kind of do that. On here, their instructions are, they have 1 through 15. Their first one is obviously clean, prep the face. Cover your face with matched foundation and then powder off. And then they have glue and flatten down your eyebrows. So they want their eyebrows covered. And then they continue on all the way through the very end of the makeup. So you need to start with your face prep and then all the way through, okay? So that's what you need to do for that. But yeah, you can have the instructions on here or you can have a separate page typewritten. It's totally up to you how you want to do it. Just make sure everything is clear and very direct, okay? Another thing, let me show you one other one. So this one was great as well, okay? So this one's obviously very intricate. There's a lot going on, but they also have a separate design sheet, which is actually, this one's really great. They have very clear written out instructions. That's another great thing, is if you guys are handwriting it, make sure it's in a legible writing utensil, like a pen, and that you're writing clearly. If you don't have the neatest of handwriting, it might be helpful to type it. Then they have like kind of a breakdown of their individual designs, right? For how intricate this design is, I don't think that this is necessarily detailed enough. They probably need multiple pages of the separate designs and of the separate sections of the face, because it's very geometric and there's a lot going on. So don't be afraid to have multiple pages, right? So you can have a page, some pages like this with it drawn out, but if you're like, I really need a lot of instructions, like have a couple pages of instructions, okay? And it doesn't even need to look necessarily like you're rendering, right? Design sheets can have parts that aren't totally colored in. They can have only a portion of the face colored. It's totally up to you what you feel like is going to be helpful for someone doing the makeup, okay? Because yeah, remember, they're like blueprints, so you're trying to give them the basis to build this makeup. On that point, a very important part of design sheets is understanding what the actor looks like underneath. That is another really great reason why I get in the habit of just drawing on the actor's face. So I will use a template, go over their face, and then draw it out and make my own template like this. Just something of their face that I can color on and design on. Because that's going to show me and show the actor and everyone what it's supposed to look like on their face. So I purposely did it on this one. So I had just the actress's face, exactly how she looks, and then I had my design as well, okay? So you should have two different things like this. It doesn't necessarily, it's not for the rendering per se, but you need to have a photo or an outline of whoever it is you're doing the makeup on. Now I understand you guys are doing it on yourself. You don't have to do this step if you don't want to. It's going to be helpful for you, but if you don't want to, just make sure you have, if you're doing like your design and instructions, everything on here, make sure you have a second one that has your eyebrows drawn on, that has your facial structure drawn on to the best of your ability. Because for this one in particular, I knew that I need this person to block out their eyebrows and change their lip shape. So I go back to just this one. It's just an outline of their face. I haven't done anything to it. And I just did a little note that said, like, block out the eyebrows, and then a little one that's like, change the shape of your lips with lip liner. So that's going to help them kind of see. Because if someone gets like a rendering or a design or design sheets, and they see, like this one for instance, like if this were going on my face, these eyebrows are like pretty flat, right? And I've got a little bit of an arch, not a whole lot, but a little bit. So if someone were to give me this design to do, I have no other instructions, I would be looking at it and saying, well, okay, so do they want me to block out my eyebrow? Do they want me to just like completely draw a huge eyebrow to make it look straight? Like, what are they wanting me to do? And are they wanting me to make my lips these really angled, sharp lines that they have going on? So it's really, really nice just to have a separate photograph. Like, it could even be a photograph, honestly. If you just have kind of just like an actor photograph, right? That you just want to make little notes on and be like, this is what's going to happen. And then they have this that's actually done of their photograph anyway that they can transfer and kind of know what it is they're supposed to be doing from a design to their face, because it is very individualized. You can just do a stock thing and send this to everybody, but it's going to look different on everybody because everyone's going to interpret it differently. So as far as design sheets go, that's what you want to do. Instructions, maybe multiple views of the face, is kind of like a zoom in thing. Oh yeah, that's another thing you can do is zoom in on different parts of the face. So if you want to zoom in on the eye or zoom in on the lips, we talked about the eye a little bit with this one, right? They had a nice little zoomed in thing so the person can see what they're doing. Let me pull out a few more examples. Okay. Alright, so here's just a few. So like these ones are a little bit bigger because they're a little bit more intricate stuff going on, right? So I just have like that on my design sheet. You can have multiple pages to your design sheets and charts. There's really no limit, and honestly, more is better, because it's always better to have too many instructions than not enough. If you don't have enough, it makes it really, really hard to understand what you're doing and to really get it to look like the designer intends. Because if you're just handed like a rendering, for instance, an actor will be like, okay, I guess I've got to like figure this out somehow, and it's not going to look how you think it will look. Especially, yeah, if you're not specific. Another thing that's really good to do is break down the hairstyle. If you're having like some sort of intricate hairstyle, right? So just kind of show back, side, front. So that way the makeup supervisor or actor knows what they're doing. This one, like I have heads drawn in. You don't really have to have like the face and everything. Just have like a general head outline and put the hair on. If you're having multiple design sheets, that's totally okay. Because like I said, design sheets, it can be a lot of different pieces that you're trying to show how to do all the different things. The rendering is going to show you what it looks like all together. kind of, I might be going back on a tangent a little bit here, but also think about your instructions as well. You want to make sure that you're doing everything in a correct order. Okay, so if you're using products that don't go well together, or things that need to be done in a certain order, make sure that you're doing that. Because if I were just looking at this with no instructions, I'd be like, okay, well, there's kind of like purple on the eye, and there's like blue on her forehead, and I'm just like, it's probably done in powders, you know, just kind of figuring out what it is. Well, if I'm looking at it with no instructions and I'm an actor, maybe in my personal day-to-day life, I like doing my eye makeup first. So I start doing that, and then like I start adding the other elements. Well, maybe this type of makeup, it's really important that the face makeup is done first, or that all of this blue detailing is done first before the purple to make the purple look correct, okay? So just make sure your instructions are very well thought out and very organized. And that's where the numbering comes in handy as well. Yeah, I think that is pretty much everything. Here's another example of one just on like the design sheets that are on Learning Suite. There's a lot of different ones on Learning Suite you guys are welcome to use. There's ones that have, like here's one. There's a lot of ones like with the side options. There are some like with the half eye, like one eye closed, one eye open, and those are helpful as well. Yeah, just think about what you're trying to accomplish and what design sheets are going to work best for that. So you guys may want to do the tracing over your own face and make your own template. It's up to you guys. But that is my personal preference because it's easiest. And it might as well get in the habit now if you want to continue on in makeup. This is a great thing as well. I don't know how well you can see it, but they have kind of like little dot-to-dot outlines of the eyeshadow with numbers in them. So they're kind of showing the steps as well as like the lines or where you need to blend the colors together of the eyeshadow and stuff. So that's another thing you can do when you do that little zoomed up section on your design sheets. Just gonna make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I don't believe that I am. So if you guys have any questions, you can talk to me or you can talk to Janine. Just email us and we will get back to you guys with what you need help with, and if you have any other questions. Yeah, if you like, let's do like a quick recap and then we'll be done. So design rendering, something like this. I'll try to show you a bunch of different ones. One like this. Now I'm losing everything. Rendering like this, or like this. So try to have a front and side view of the renderings. I personally like them on separate sheets just because then I can choose if I want to show just the front view, I can. And then design sheets, instructions, multiple pages if you need it, multiple views of the face, multiple views of the hair. If you need to show a close-up of the lip art, eye art, maybe of like a special effects wound, whatever you need to do, please do that. Show detail, show everything. Remember, more instructions the better. Okay, well, I hope that is helpful and that you guys will be able to figure that out. You're going to be using that for Stylized 1 and 2, okay? So Stylized 1 is going to be makeup done on yourself. So you will do the design sheets and the rendering and submit that to us, and then you will do that assignment, or that makeup on yourself, excuse me. And then Stylized 2, you will be doing all of this paperwork, emailing it to us, and then we will be dispersing it randomly throughout class. That's why it's important you guys don't put your name on those sheets, because we're going to be emailing them out. We don't want people to know whose is whose, and they're going to reply it back to us with honest feedback. So maybe they're going to look through it and be like, oh, step number 3 wasn't very clear, or things like that. They're just going to go through and figure out what needs to be like specified better. And then we will email those notes back to you guys so that you can get your own feedback. And then you will be doing it for your final as well. Please be very thorough in all your design sheets and design renderings for the next few assignments, and especially for the final, because it is going to be a huge part of your grade, along with your breakdowns and everything, because we aren't having a physical final. But you guys can do some of the makeup as extra credit if you would like. Let's just go over real quick some helpful coloring techniques. So this is colored pencil, okay? And sometimes like that's intimidating to people. I like colored pencil because I can kind of control the gradient that's happening, the transition between colors, whereas markers, there's not much you can do about it. So I'm just going to take a black pencil and show you guys. So I kind of like to use the side of it if I'm covering a large area, because that way I can make it so that it is not like liney. I can get a pretty even texture, at least right in the middle. The edges are obviously not liney, but then I can kind of do little circular motions. Okay, so little tiny circular motions to kind of even out edges. Okay, and then I'm pressing very lightly, and that's what's giving me that light gray color. And then if you press a little bit harder, you're gonna get those dark, dark lines. Okay, so now it's a super dark line, and then I can kind of transition it. So continue to press hard and then slowly release that grip on it and do a lighter and lighter press on the paper. And it's going to kind of give you a little nice smooth gradient. And that's something you can do for eyeshadow, for lip color, even for like your contours and highlights. That's really, really helpful. Like skin tones, I like to just have, let me put some on here real quick. So this is kind of pressing pretty lightly, okay? Pressing pretty lightly, and then I like to just go back in the places where I want it to pop a little bit more and press a little bit harder. And that's how I'm gonna get like the darker shade of foundation going on in there. Hopefully you guys can see that. Okay, so it's just gonna be about pressure that you're putting on the pencil is how dark it's gonna go on the paper. Other things is like, don't really be afraid to mix mediums if that's going to be helpful to you. Like I get, not everyone's an artist, and that's okay. But just kind of find little tricks that work for you guys. Especially like if you're using the template, most of the work's already done for you. You just need to do really nice coloring, which is important for all of these designs. Like just take a little bit extra time to put some effort into the coloring and make sure it like looks nice, right? Like this one, I'd say like they just like did a pretty decent skill, like, or decent job. It was over top of a template, and they kind of just did their thing, and it was pretty much just like what would this be called? Like they kind of just use like the gradients of like doing darker blues up top and kind of fading it. Yeah, and they kind of just like drew out all the details symmetrically and everything. So you guys don't really need to worry too much about, oh, I'm not an artist, like I don't think I can do this. It's okay. Like you guys can do like just a little bit, just work on coloring and figuring out what your design is. You guys have got plenty of time to figure it out between now and the final, how you guys want things to look. So yeah, good luck with everything, and I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe. Please reach out to us if you need some help, and we are happy to help you out. And if you need more clarification on designing and how to render and everything, we will be happy to help you out with that as well. Okay, thanks. Bye, guys.